Welcome, everyone. I'm J Pinkert with ForexStopHunters.com. We have a big red day going on the screen. Everyone having a good day, being long the dollar and short the world. How many dollar bulls do I have in the room of the 17 attendees here? Ingmar, you had a good day. How many gold bulls are surprised by gold not performing and silver taking a hit here? How many people remember about me talking about risk being taken off a month ago when the S&P's topped and the dollar bottomed? And we recently, as of today, did anyone notice a new moon in the sky last night? A little bit of a lunar cycle event that happened here. Yeah, it was more than 2 weeks ago. It was the beginning of May. Something else that I guess you could call it good fortune, luck, skill. Something else I talked about in a webinar here. So let's go right to the dollar index and break it down. Everyone see the June futures here? So it's my belief up here, when everyone was talking about the demise of the euro, that we were overdone. And what we've done is we pulled back in a wave 2 fashion or wave B fashion. And yesterday I put out a forecast, new moon, new month, looking for wave 2 or B to be completed. Preferred shorts, euro, USD, Aussie USD. So we'll take a look at those pairs. But today is a significant day. I believe that the dollar is about to embark on an advance that could be equal to or possibly some type of fib extension of this move. So in the June futures, we bottomed here on May 4th at 7286. The high of the move was 7654, so let's call it 320 for round numbers. So if we had a quality from here, from today's low, we're talking 7760 or so, and there's a lot of moving averages come in right around the 78 level. Also, you broke down from a triangle, so that would retest the breakdown at 78. So that's my target for this advance initially. 78, I think it could play out going into July. So something else, yeah, I think you'll see under 90 in crude oil. So we're going to have a whiff of deflation, and now you have to ask yourself, where are the buy stops? Okay, so of course there's going to be buy stops. The people that still think that the dollar is going to the demise of the dollar, they're protecting their short positions above these highs, just like longs are protecting their long positions under these lows. It's my belief that the way to capitalize on buy stops being taken out is to look for reasons to be long, like a day like this, knowing that they're going to start to squeeze the shorts, and then once we take out these highs, it's going to be time to start thinking about liquidating out. So I see a major stop hunt that's going to take place over 7654. I'm sure we could break it down on the hourly and find other spots that people have trailed. And you're going to see stops above. They're cleaning out the late dollar bears here. There's going to be stops above this level here. More stops here. More stops here. So all the way up, the vulnerable positions to me right now, since they cleaned out sell stops, are going to be the buy stops. So I think you have my drift. I'm bullish a dollar. Let's take a look at the weekly. I reserve the right to change my mind if today's lows are taken out. One expression I take to heart comes from W.D. Gann. That's if you don't learn how to change your mind, you won't have any change left. Ever hear that? Get stubborn in markets. You'll learn it the hard way. So we still are not higher on the week. Of course, a lot's going to come down to the NFP number. But right now I'm working under the assumption that today's low corrected this bounce and that we're going to head up above this high and head up towards the 78, possibly 79 level down the road. Any questions on the Dixie before we go to the individual pairs? Right. It was right there. Classic fib retracement. It's almost too classic. That's why if we take out today's lows, boss, I would be getting out of the way. Sometimes when things are too classic, too convenient, with my jaded, skeptical eye, I don't trust it. The action today with what's happening in equities, and here's the reason, right? Because even the euro was hanging higher on the day until we had acceleration to the downside in S&Ps. I'd call that a pretty negative day. So just like the dollar had put in a higher low, we put in a lower high in S&Ps. So this market looks like it's in trouble. It may try and hold, but to me it looks like we could attack the January lows under 1240. Well, we filled the gap. I'm sure you have some type of fib count up here. This may have been 61.8 from this high to this low. Anyway, it looks like a failure to me. This looked like a hope rally to me. And now there's a bunch of stops for them to go for. They could go for these. There's people here. But I believe this decline will not be complete until we take out the lows posted in March of 1241. Okay? So this is the reason behind the dollar returning, because the dollar was still lower on the day when we were only, say, down 10, 11 handles in S&Ps, right? Do people keep an eye on the stock indexes as you're trading foreign currencies? I recommend you do so. Besides keeping an eye on the Dixie, you have to follow some of the other asset classes. I don't know what this is right now. For example, while the dollar's going up, everyone's talking about bond yields going down. This is something that kept me bullish a dollar and bearish S&Ps, is that they couldn't get to the bonds. You have, sharply higher commodity prices and the dollar under pressure, and they could not sell off bonds. They're now starting to get parabolic. It's going to have some type of blow-off move, I think, into the July time frame. As long as the dollar's acting good, I expect bonds to continue to accelerate to the upside. There's still quite a bit off historical highs. Maybe they make a run at them. Gold is not a haven. The further you go out in maturity, the bigger the move was, Swerve. Okay, enough about the outside markets. Let's start off with Euro, because this was a classic stop hunt. Ignore this action. So last night's high was 4474.4, and there were several attempts. This attempt. And then this attempt, look at the high here. 144.720. Everyone see that we did not make new highs on this candle. So while in the room, I was saying, I'm surprised they didn't gun the stop. So they were giving bears hope throughout the session today. Okay. This was last night's high in Euro. We tried to punch through it during the U.S. session and even got right to the pip. This high is 144.72. This high was 144.74. So all through the session, even though we had weakness in equities after the ADP report, They weren't breaking the euro, and they were giving the bears a chance to think, well, maybe I have a top. This is a classic stop hunt. Now, I did not get long, but I felt there was unfinished business above these highs before I would take my short signal. Also, I had some pretty good relative strength divergence building for 3 trading days now, okay? So the stop hunt was everyone had their stops over this high. They took it out. Your first tell was trading back under these levels. If it was really a critical level and it broke through resistance, why 5 minutes later is it giving me a chance to buy it again at the same level? All right? These are important resistance levels, and yet what happened? Next time through, that told me that was just a stop hunt. So that's what I look to do. I look for unfinished business. There's 2 ways to take advantage of a stop hunt. And that would have been to be long into the event, and then once the stops are elected, sell into it. Or let the event happen and then see if there's any follow through. And if there isn't, and you have other technical reasons for doing so, you could fade it. You had plenty of time. You didn't have to do it right away. So you missed the first break, you still had time. Although I love immediate gratification. And then let's get to the daily on it. I call it significant. This is a pretty significant reversal day in my view. I think we're on our way to take out this 39 level. And I'm selling rallies in euro. There are lots of buy stops, sell stops to be taken out. Look how they cleaned out all the buy stops first. They got people at stops over this high, stops over this high. Now they're going to be going for people that have stops under these lows. They already got these guys. They're going to want to get these guys. They're going to want to get this stops here. They're going to want these stops, and you know this is a grand prize. Anyone ever talk to you about looking for stops and how to take advantage of them? Instead of being the prey, to learn to be the hunter. And people have asked me, Dale, well, how do I know where they are? So this is what you do to find out where they are. You look at a chart and you say, if I wanted to be long, if I was long right now, where would I place my sell stop? And that's where the rest of them are. Because they're at obvious swing points, no matter what the time frame is. Or if you want to know where the buy stops are, just invert it. I'm short. If I was short, where would I place my buy stops? And that's where they're going to be. So it doesn't take any type of huge insight to try and figure out where the stops are. All you have to do is ask yourself where you would place them. So that may be something. Oh, I'm glad for you, Ingmar. Thank you. Yeah, I've heard of that order book. So it gives you the flow of orders. Okay. Glad to serve. Same thing. Right. So that's where your buy stops are going to be above resistance, sell stops under support. Very good pips. Any other input here? You're being recorded, so you could be stars on FX Street. Any other questions before I continue? Okay, everyone kind of know what my take is here? I think that we're completing this wave and that we're going to take out these lows. And this is only wave one. If you wanted to just do equality here, This was what? 149.39, 870 pips, 870 from today's lows, 35.80, 35.90. That would be equality. 35.90. Monthly 21 EMA 37.75. So a couple of ways of coming up with targets here for this part of the dollar rally. Caveat being, we start taking out today's highs, the picture has changed, and we have to reassess. Cable is going to be pretty significant here based upon the weekly chart. Last week's low is very critical to cable because you're looking at a rising wedge. Now this is very macro chart, it's a weekly, but we cleaned out almost all the bears here, right? Above this 63 level. Then we just squeezed them again. And the only high still standing is back to last fall's high. But should we start taking out last week's low around the 161 level, you have a breakdown out of a major rising wedge on a weekly basis. And it's my contention based upon monthlies that I think that we're going to challenge the 2007 lows in cable. In fact, the monthly chart is more negative to me in cable than it is in euro. Because euro, even if it went to 116, isn't going to come close to challenging the lows from 2000. Whereas cable can challenge 2000 lows much easier. The break was much more vicious during the financial crisis than it was in euro. I know some people talking 109 into the end of the year, early next year. So again, we've had a few shifts from the demise of the dollar to the demise of the euro to the demise of the dollar to the demise of the euro to the end of the dollar being the reserve currency. And I think the next phase is the demise of the euro. Because this recovery is weaker than this. The decline was much more impulsive, and the corrections may be 38% back, right? We've had much stronger reactions in euro, and euro has held up much better. If you just covered up the title of both of these charts, I'm going to be your eye doctor now, okay? Which is weaker, this or this? I mean, cable didn't come close to recovering the highs, right? This doesn't look like any more than 38 to 50% back, right? Euro, after that break, retraced all the way to 151. The highs that people are looking for that they may never see again. Okay. So getting a little shorter term in cable. They cleaned a lot of buy stops all the way up here. So this may turn into some short-term support here between here and 62. But I'm of the mind that cable as well is going to break down and take out during this move in the Dixie up towards 78. You could own the best currency in a bad market, it won't matter when the dollar is good. Tough to fade the dollar in this environment. It's kind of like the Wall Street saying, you could own the best stock in a bad market, but it's not going to matter. How many stocks are up today? Look at the AD line. It's across all sectors. The same can be said in the currency arena. That when the dollar's on a bull move, Right, because it's paired the other way. I actually think that Swiss, although I don't believe it's bottomed yet, could turn out to be the type of slingshot move that we had in the yen from the lows, something like this, because of the further you stretch a rubber band, and this is starting to get pretty stretched. We do have a little daily divergence trying to develop here. But I would call this a pretty stretched rubber band. So I'm on the alert for it. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kingich. Thank you very much. So that's where I stand on Swiss as long as we got to it. I still don't think it's ready. But I think that we're getting closer. Maybe sometime next week I would look for that, Ralph. And your best buying opportunities when you're bottom picking is when you have the RSI above 30. So I prefer to see a bounce, and then the next time down to new lows on the 4 hour, see it hold above the 30 range. That's how I use momentum divergence. If you have readings under 30, you might get bounces, but the downside momentum, the selling pressure is so extreme that you want it to wane. Similar to what you had in cable before the rally. See this at the lows last week? So we're making new lows. By the way, this is a 3 drive to a bottom formation. But at this low, we were above 30, not making new RSI lows under 30, and look at what it turned into. What's that link? Yeah. Well, yesterday I put out, I was looking for this today. I think you have an important top in Kiwi and Aussie. And you know what? And gold. Interesting fib retracement in gold. I know a lot of people use 61.8, 61.8. Try this fib number and play with it. 78.6. 78.6. And what I like about it is it shakes out the 61.8 players. Okay, Pips knows that one. It shakes them out because then the market has rallied too much to fit their parameters. So sometimes you'll get a 78.6 intraday and a 61.8 close. Anyway, this high in gold, if you want to get your calculator out, just measure this decline and then figure out what 78.6 back was. And we had a 1549 number in our room. High today was 1550.26. I'm looking for 1430, 1440 gold. It was a good day to have a webinar because, we have some turning points happening on this day. Of course, it's more impressive if it happens, I have a webinar and then the next day it happens, but it's not too late to get on this train. It's really just starting. If you scroll up to 1246.18, you'll see what I tweeted yesterday about this turning point. Yen, I'm thinking still is going to be pressured to challenge this low. I'm figuring maybe in the 78 level or so. I believe this is a major bottom in yen, but there's one more break to clean out these guys. And here's the reason why. You see all the way back here? Okay, boss. Everyone see this low? Look at the RSI. It was confirmed. Okay? So, when a low is confirmed, it means to me there's a good chance of it being retested or taken out. Want an example? Here's one. This whole rally in Swiss, see these lows? Daily. They were confirmed. No divergence, right? So we had a bounce, and because these lows are confirmed, what's the message? It confirmed the low. It wasn't a non-confirmation, it was a confirmation. So if you're a divergence player, you had none. So what would you need to get long if you're a momentum divergence trader? You need a lower price low with a higher RSI reading. Right? You didn't have that here. So that had you thinking that we could take out this, we could make one more new low in US dollar Swiss. And that's what happened. Another market message. When was the last time you saw Kiwi making new highs with Aussie 300 points off its high? How was it all last year? Which pair made new successive new highs without the other? Here's last year. Right? Here's last year. Aussie led it all the way. When Aussie starts lagging by 300 points, I think Aussie's in real trouble. I think eventually we're going to retest this 94 level. So I think that being long anything right now is not going to be rewarding, except the dollar. I'm ready to open it up to questions. Any pairs that you're interested in that I cover, I'd be happy to comment on them. Anything? Quick view? Oh yeah, I cover CAD. USD CAD. I think there's a big stop hunt above 99.70. They shook a lot of people out. We should be able to take out the 98.15 stops, and then I think we're headed above 99.70 towards par. It's going to take you some time. Sometimes it takes people a couple of months to get it in my live room. I have a live room that operates from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and then we Skype ideas, the members. You can see what I'm doing in real time. Here's where you could find me. I have no free trials. Yeah, the speed lines. Okay. Well, I'm dollar bullish. I think it could remain that way for, I'm thinking 4 to 6 weeks. There's going to be a couple of interesting trades mid-month. We have a lunar eclipse, and then I pay attention to the summer solstice. But I'm sure we'll be back here chatting to each other between now and then. I want to leave you with something to consider, that your most valuable currency is not euro, it's not yen, it's not even precious metals, it's your time. Money comes and goes, time is gone forever. So don't just count your pips, count your blessings. And this is what we do, not who we are. So I appreciate you spending your most valuable currency with me today. Hope there were some things that you learned that can edify your trading and add value to what you're trying to accomplish. Again, my website is forexstophunters.com. I don't tweet as often as I used to, but I come across the expert feed once in a while here. And I wish everyone good fortune, good health, good luck into the NFP number. Thank you, Matthias, for moderating this. Alinda, thank you for recording it. Say hello to everyone, all my friends at FX Street for me. And goodbye for now. Thank you very much.